Good evening, Office fans. I'm Tanster. Welcome to tonight's panel discussion with the Office writers. It's my great pleasure to introduce the Office's executive producer, Greg Daniels.
Thank you very much, everybody, for coming. I want to thank the Paley Center because they were the first people that ever recognized our show in any way at all. In season 2, I think we had a really good thing here, and it started everybody on the show becoming more self-reflective and serious about ourselves and pompous. And I want to thank Jenny Tan. The Office Tally is the most fantastic place for Office fans, and really she's created a whole community that supports the show and does. It's such a good website, so entertaining, and I think we all really owe her a lot.
My first question was going to be, what's it like watching a clip of The Office with an auditorium full of people giving you reaction?
I love seeing it. It's kind of like a movie in the sense there's no laugh track and there's lots of movie stars. But so it's fun. It's fun to watch it in a movie theater and get that experience.
I get insanely nervous. Does anyone else get super nervous?
No? Even if it's not something that you've
Yeah,
written?
it doesn't matter. I get nervous when I watch like TV alone by myself in my house. I get nervous that the performer's going to screw up somehow, even though it's on television and it was taped a few months ago. But I get very nervous when I watch we did whatever was it last time we were here, the Paley thing? When we screened like a whole episode, and it was one that I had written, and I couldn't
It wasn't like great? It wasn't fun to
No, it was very great and gratifying to hear anybody laugh anytime anybody laughed, but I was so nervous I couldn't really handle it. I had to when I worked at Saturday Night Live, and anytime a sketch was on that I had written or something, I wouldn't watch it live. I would go like way in the back of the theater and watch it on a tiny black and white TV screen because I just couldn't take the pressure.
I'm always scared Paula's going to mess up because you're not a professional actor. And so when we watch these clips, I'm like, God, I just hope Paul pulls it together. I still think it's live, Like, I'm like, God, what if they didn't cut out those unusable takes where you are not as good?
The other day, since you started this, Dave Rogers, one of the editors, was ending episode a scene that Mindy was in, and he turns to me and he goes, "This is what I have to deal with." And he plays me a 3-minute-long clip in which Mindy broke in every.
Okay, for the record, Dave is like
It was a line
Dave
after line.
Dave is not happy about
she
anything.
just cracked up and couldn't keep it together.
Well, I have joie
I'm
de
sure he'll cut
vivre.
together a little.
Okay, sorry if when I do a scene, I am enjoying it so much, and my other actors and stuff, that I break.
You guys, when you see acting and Mindy is doing this, that's not acting.
That's true.
She does it a lot. You can always see her doing this in different takes as if that's
There's also a lot
the
of this, like,
character.
looking up.
Yeah, it's all like pushing on her
Yeah.
lip to stop laughing or
Right.
hiding her face.
She also taught me how to cry on camera, which is,
Yeah. That's how she goes. She keeps her head still and moves her hands.
Yeah.
People love it.
Why do you think The Office is so popular with its fans? Why is there like an auditorium full of people wanting to see
Just to
the
be
writing
honest,
team?
though, to be completely honest, there's probably less than 100
Oh,
people.
come on. But they're all diehard fans, are you not? Really?
All right. Well, I'll take a crack at it. I guess. I don't know. I think that we make a big deal out of behavioral moments as opposed to one-liners, and so when you do that, I think that the characters are more realistic and the situations are more believable, and you get past that kind of surface thing that happens on a lot of sitcoms and comedy shows where it's just bam, bam, bam. And
I think that's true because I think probably you guys do this too. You watch one episode like multiple times, over and over again, and you always catch like a different line or a different small moment that you didn't see before. and the show's just made up. Jen Salata!
Hey, Jen, what were you just up to?
We were shooting some talking heads.
Yeah, tell us for what, no, actually
I
don't.
can't. I was trying to think on the way over if I could
Yeah,
say
you can't
anything. I
say
can't
anything.
say anything.
How do the writers determine who writes what episode?
We have to wrestle.
Greg, do you come up with like a master plan, or how does?
Yeah, well, increasingly that would probably be Paul and Jen, but I think the idea is that if somebody came in with the idea, oftentimes they'll write it, but not always, and sometimes you might try to match topic to somebody's strengths, I guess. I don't know if we do that much.
Have you ever come up with a storyline and none of the writers wanted to touch it?
Yeah, actually. I
You're
think-
laughing. Tell me.
Oh, I don't remember. I'm sure it's out of
No, I know I've had to persuade
Jen's
people
laughing.
into doing it,
Tell
right?
us.
I remember grief counseling was a thing.
Oh yeah, you kind of forced that on you a
I
little bit.
forced you on to do that.
I was excited about it. I was excited about it, but I remember there was some hesitation
we were supposed to
about
I think you guys
yeah,
too,
yeah.
right?
I didn't
And we
want
were
to call
like,
you
oh.
out, but you're like, no.
Weight loss is the great example of that. The one that we thought was unbreakable.
Well, that's a
Well,
different story.
weight loss was something that existed. Weight loss is one of these stories that it feels so office-y that we felt we should do it at some point. And that was season 2. And we sat around, and then just the writer assistants basically jot down everything that we say. And I think there's 150 pages. When Gene and I went off to write the episode, it took like 4 days just to highlight jokes from
3 years ago.
Yeah, from 3 years ago. It's not topical. Weight loss is totally different now than it was 3 years ago. But that, sometimes episodes are harder to break. And then, Greg came up with the idea, I think, to have the weight loss extend over the course of the summer,
Right.
which was a very
That was
good idea,
a
but also
great
tricky
idea.
for editing
Yes.
that you also had to deal with.
Yeah, no, that did stink. I mean, we have usually everything's on one day. So if you want to take a scene that was written to be in Act 2 and move it to Act 3, it's easy. But with weight loss, every single act was a different day, and they were all in different costumes. And somebody pointed out, rightly, I think, online, that there is even a scene where Michael's goatee drops off for one scene and then pops back on.
Oh, that was the topic of conversation.
Yeah, that
Continuity.
continuity. Yeah.
Eagle eye.
Yeah, we're gonna try and digitally put a goatee on him in the repeat. But
So Mindy, you said something kind of lingo-y, that you said a storyline was unbreakable. What does that mean?
When you break a story, it means that you've taken it from just the concept form of weight loss, and then you break it into, well, what could this specifically mean for the characters in the show, with a beginning, middle, and end. And so when I say something's unbreakable, it means that we've tried to plunder as much as we can from our joke knowledge bases, and we can't do it. Or we hate doing it. Or we're like, please, Greg, make us stop doing this.
there's a bunch like that. We have an Earth Day episode,
Blood drive.
Blood
Blood
drive.
Drive
I
episode.
mean, Earth Day could not be.
Wow.
I'm so against
Someone
Earth
take
Day.
notes.
It's going to be an episode, but
have
I could not think of
200
something
sweatshirts
more
of Blood Drive.
boring than Earth Day. I mean, as in.
Actually, this is the answer to the question because it has so much to do with writers' excitement. Someone's going to get excited by Earth Day, and that'll do it. Someone's going to be like,
When-
it'll have that little idea that
Give it to the
changes
new
it
guy.
from.
When we hire Al Gore to be on the staff.
We did that, Jenny, with weight loss, though. We put the new people in a room for
Right.
weight loss, and enthusiasm came out of it, and they were
Like,
really
four of them
excited.
quit.
And then
But the other ones.
the next room got it.
Michael Scott is a character that's been pushed to the edge of plausibility and likability plenty during the 4+ seasons of The Office. I was wondering where you, as writers, draw the line for Michael, or is there even one? Have there been Michael ideas that were dropped for being too outrageous?
We have a bunch of index cards that we write ideas down. We put them on our wall, and every time we have any idea for anything, we put it on the wall. And then in some places, we just have like little reminders to ourselves as a writing staff. And there's a card on our wall that says, "Michael is not Homer." And it's very, very hard to remember that sometimes because Homer is very funny in a cartoon way, and Michael Scott is very funny in a actual he's a human man way. But like they're both like it's the same archetype. It's like it's a sort of well-intentioned guy who isn't the most brilliant man in the world and does a lot of sort of goofy things. And I think that we're always trying to figure out like where the line is. And I think we've probably crossed it a couple times accidentally, and we probably haven't done things, we probably haven't pushed him far enough in some episodes. And it's sort of trial and error. You just try to, it's like Greg was saying, you try to remember he's a real man and he has a lot of blind spots and flaws and stuff that make him funny.
We also,
But he's the main comedy character of the show. Like if he isn't doing things that are sort of goofy and funny, then it's not going to be a funny show,
I like to try and think of a reason that he could have in his mind for what he's doing that isn't incredibly low intelligence. Because a lot of things that seem really stupid, come out of other places in him.
You know what a perfect example is too is when we broke the story where he drives into the water, because this was a thing that Jen saw this thing online about. There's people, and you can look this up. It happens a lot, weirdly a lot, that people trust their GPS machines more than their eyes.
I've seen that multiple times in the news.
My parents had a GPS a while ago when it was first coming out, and the manual said, do not drive into a body of water even if the GPS tells you to. And I was like, how could this possibly, why do they have to write this? And so I did a little bit of research, and there's constantly people, there's a place in England where people are driving into rivers and they're charging 40 pounds to take the car out because 2 or 3 times a day someone goes right in. But that may be the borderline of I think we found.
So we had this thing that was a real thing, and then we constructed a story where Michael is trying to prove that his sort of more old-fashioned ways of selling, of salesmanship, are better than than Ryan's new ways with Blackberries and sophisticated things. And he went and he tried to do that with his gift baskets, and he hit a wall every time, and people kind of weren't interested. And in fact, people were actually saying, when your new website is up and you have this fancy technology, then maybe come back to me and I'll see if I'm interested. And so the idea was that Michael started to have a lot of self-doubt about his old-fashioned ways, and that technology, maybe he kept hearing technology is the future, technology is the future. So when technology told him to drive into a lake, he was kind of like, I don't know, maybe this machine knows what it's doing and I should just trust it. And so, it was a very, we constructed that whole story, and we had this real thing that happened to people a lot, and it's still happening. I still get emails from people who say, like, look, this guy drove into a lake, And but I think that one, there were definitely some people who thought, like, well, that's too dumb. He would never do that. And from our point of view, it wasn't dumb. It was like Greg was saying, it was a state of mind. It was like a psychological thing that he had gone through. But I don't know.
Also, sometimes the locations or the props make it worse in one direction. Like, I think in theory, when we talked about the lake, we were like, well, maybe he's driving and he sees water and he thinks it's only a couple of inches deep, and maybe he thinks that the road will continue on the other side if he just gets through 3 inches of water. But then when you get to the actual lake and it's got like pussy willows along the side,
He's just driving into a lake.
it's just a lake.
But I love jokes like Bert Cobain. The fact that there's sometimes when it's so delicious and you've never written on The Simpsons and been able to write for Homer, that you want to push through a joke that maybe makes you laugh so much that maybe it can't be justified. And I am like Gene Stupnitsky, who can't be here, is Mr. Like Michael is smarter than we think he is. And I'm like, oh, let's make him up everything he says. There's a scene, one of my favorite scenes of The Office is when Angela's cat has been murdered by Dwight. And nobody cares. But Michael, and this is a true thing about him, does know the name of the cat, which is Sprinkles.
Yep.
But in the same line, he goes, I can't believe Sprinkles is dead. That's the worst. Pringles. He forgets in that line, Greg, that was your episode, right? That he calls him Pringles in the same line. That he remembered his name was Sprinkles. And those are those kind of things that, what is the justification? What are we thinking?
My favorite one ever that we never wrote down was Paul's joke, which was, it was in Gay Witch Hunt when Toby says to, this was the idea, this didn't actually air, but Toby says to Michael, hopefully Oscar can count on your discretion. And then Michael immediately goes to Oscar in the episode and says, like, I can't believe you're gay or whatever. And then later, Paul wrote this joke that was Toby coming in and going, you said we could count on your discretion. And Michael would say, yes. And as soon as I heard the news, I went and disgressed it with Oscar.
Oh, you should have put that in.
That made me laugh so hard. And that was one of those ones where we were like, maybe not. It was just over the edge of plausibility for him.
add one tiny little thing that, when we let one slip through, Steve has such amazing instincts about
true.
what his character will and won't do. So there are definitely times when we'll kind of go close to the line or whatever.
And
he'll be
Steve
like,
will
"Ah."
say,
Steve
Yeah,
will pull it
I've
back a little, yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Always.
go further with it, depending. Like he's like
Yeah.
the ultimate. I mean, he's fluent in Michael Scott. Like he knows. You know what I mean? Like he knows
He should
every.
be.
His instincts are so impeccable, and his knowledge of his own character is so impeccable that he's kind of the ultimate arbiter in a weird way of like what. Because he also like whatever the lines are, he's the one who brings them to life. And
But also, it's like
Pretty
that
good at
idea
it.
about it's not really low intelligence if he has another intention that he can play that gets him to the same place. And one of the great things about Steve is the fact that he can play all these different intentions. He can be really stupid, but he does it in a way where you can tell that he's going for something. He's just made a terrible choice of what he's going for.
would you guys ever consider doing a live episode of The Office? Ooh.
well, it's a documentary. That's the problem. It's hard to imagine how a documentary.
So you've never
crew
thought of
would
it?
No,
Yeah,
we
we've talked about
have.
it.
That the problem we run into is that it's hard to imagine how a documentary crew would be airing anything live. I mean, I think we'd have to maybe do it live and pretend like it's not live or something.
I mean,
Which,
it's
I don't
hard to
know.
get, a lot of times on the show, the way it's edited, you'll see somebody in a scene and you'll start hearing their voice and then you'll cut to them in the conference room talking about what happens. And we'd have to give that up because there's no way that they could start talking out of the side of their mouth and like dive into the chair or whatever.
I think live is a thing to promote. I don't think it'll ever yield a better show than if in our normal process of shooting double the amount and editing heavily.
Some fans have expressed the opinion that the show is better when an episode takes place primarily within the confines of the Scranton office. Do you consciously try to limit how often the show takes place outside the office? And what are the advantages, disadvantages of taking the characters out of their normal workspace?
We do. We even went in to this season trying to do like a whole big chunk in the beginning, just inside the office and not leaving. But
Do you
we
have a
also kind of have
preference?
to follow. We love when we can do it, and we also kind of have to follow our best episodes and our best ideas. And sometimes they're just out of the office.
Do you guys want to talk about the Pam Jim proposal scene and what went into that? Because I
Oh,
had
that's insane.
Yes, that was a very big deal.
Gene,
You mean production-wise? what went into it?
production-wise, yeah.
Yeah.
Because Gene we asked that question of Gene on Office Tally, and he gave us a little bit of detail, and it was just incredible.
Maybe Lee can speak for Gene.
I'll defer to Greg actually on this. I wasn't there. I had to stay in the
Okay,
writer's room.
okay, that's true. All right, well, it was a big deal. I think, you need to correct me here, but I think that the idea of doing it at the gas station was, that I had that idea? From the breaking of the story being that he was going to try all these big things to propose and then,
Possibly,
I
yeah.
believe so. Anyway, so, and there's this gas station on the Merritt Parkway that I was picturing. And when we started trying to, figure out how we were going to actually execute it, and Lee and Gene wrote it in a really cool way where it was raining and the mics were kept going out, and it was all from an extreme spy shot. And when we tried to execute it, we went on the computer and used Google Maps, and they have that Street View thing, yeah. And we found the exact Merritt Parkway, rest stop. Now it's weird that it's the Merritt Parkway because it's not in between New York and Scranton, but whatever. Anyway, the thing that I thought was really cool about it, looking at it, we just picked that photo as an example, but then the trees are so huge. It was like a cathedral of trees. It was like very kind of cool, and yet it was also this rest stop. So, it had this combination of like grungy ordinariness and yet very kind of beautiful nature and stuff. And we were going to go to that rest stop and shoot, but it turned out to be like $100,000 to bring everybody there and shoot. And
We were trying to time it with the rain.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many different factors because we wanted the trees, we wanted cars to be zooming by,
Right.
we wanted rain, we wanted to have this extreme spy shot. So
An 18-wheeler.
and 18-wheelers that were going to like time it so that you would miss Jim.
You manufactured that entire scene to be exactly what you wanted it to be. I mean, none of it was natural.
Yeah, I don't know if this ruins people's enjoyment of it, but but yeah, it was actually shot on the back of a Best Buy, like a half hour away from here in a parking lot.
People are looking for that now. They want to.
I don't remember which
It was
one
a
it is.
facade. Everything was.
It's not very cool.
The
If you were to go
the
there.
production design team of the show just did an amazing job. I mean, if you looked at it right up close, it looked completely like the Merritt Parkway one, and there was a divider, and they had cars zooming by.
Oh, yeah, it was
in
incredible.
a circle, right?
Yes,
And they were
had
just-
all the cars were going in a
But
giant
it was
race
all
car
it was
loop.
all ours. I mean, it was
was
a parking
fake
lot that we
traffic,
took over.
yeah.
Yeah, it's fake traffic.
And then we had rain machines, these huge towers that were dumping water, and the whole gas station inside was all fake soda. Like it was all just posters that were kind of shiny that looked
Yeah.
like vending machines.
And then the trees were put in digitally, like by a company that usually does, like interstellar battles and stuff like that. And we hired them just to put nicer trees in the background.
And Jim was played by Seth Green. It's an incredibly lifelike simulation.
Yes. So what had happened was it came out exactly as we imagined it, which is, unusual but costly.
Quick show of hands. How many of you guys have iPhones? How many of you guys have Blackberries? Point to the writer that is most addicted to their device.
He's-
It's only because BJ isn't here.
We saw Paul branch out into directing with season 4's Money. Do any of the rest of you hold similar aspirations?
Jen just finished directing her first episode.
You mean directing the one you...
No, a few weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
It
I
was,
was gonna
it was
say.
fun. Yeah.
Charlie wrote it, and it's the one that'll air a week from Thursday.
Which one is that?
It's all true.
It's called Crime Aid.
Right? Crime Aid.
Crime Aid.
Crime Aid.
See, these guys know.
And Lee and Gene directed the next series of webisodes.
oh, come on, guys.
What's very cute about Gene and Lee is because I'm in a couple of the webisodes, is that at the beginning you guys would say action at the same time, right?
Yes.
You time it out.
We are writing partners, so we do everything together.
You
We
do
actually
everything?
tried to, our first action, we tried high-fiving, but we were so nervous about directing that we missed. And then we were they're shooting, and we're kind of upset about the fact that we're not men and that we couldn't even successfully
You're
slap
right,
five.
yeah.
It just went down from there. Paul was in them too.
Well, Paul got nominated for an Emmy for his directing, which was surprising to everybody. No, he's a great director. I mean, it's so. I remember you were in one of your scenes. I remember in Money, because largely he wasn't in it, but I remember you had the monitor on your
they
lap.
taped the monitors to the chair in front of me.
So you were
And I
acting
was
as
just-
Toby and looking at your performance.
Yeah,
at
and
the
everyone
same
was
time.
doing fine, and I just was watching the monitors and missed my own line. I wanted
Paul has an acting school that he's going to start, like a sort of learning annex thing. And the whole class can be summed up. There's two rules? Two rules,
It's
right?
been expanding a little bit.
Well, let's do the original two rules. There's two.
There's two
Paul
rules.
Lever sees 2 rules of acting. Rule number 1:
Don't laugh.
don't laugh.
Try not to laugh.
Try not to laugh when you're in a scene. And rule number 2:
Just take your water bottle off your desk because it's not cleared and
yeah,
it ruins the shot.
because you're not supposed to drink water when you're acting. That's literally the only
Those
two
are
things
the
he
two
thinks about when he's
I was
acting.
gonna teach.
But there's a third rule I just remember, which, if I'm not mistaken, is remember the last word of the person who you're talking to, what that word is, so that you know when you should start talking. Right.
Yeah. Otherwise, then people are just looking at you.
Yeah, and you don't know when to talk.
You're not sure if you should speak.
Do you guys read the feedback from fans after an episode has aired? From whatever outlet?
Sometimes.
Can
We
you,
used to more than we do now, I will say. I don't think we do as much. One thing that I think we notice a lot is that on sites and things, people are really invested in Jim and Pam, which is great because we love their characters too. For us, I always think it's funny, I wrote this episode called The Injury, 2nd season, which came after Blue's Cruise, which was this episode where there was an amazing romantic cliffhanger of
big jam moment.
big jam moment. When The Injury came out, which I was pretty proud of and thought was funny, has zero romance in it. You're not a fan.
That was good.
Famously, it's not your favorite.
It's a good episode.
People hated it. I remember when they first,
No,
the
the
people.
injury is a fan favorite
Peop-
episode.
Later, I have like gotten good feedback about it, but originally they're like, "What the hell, Jim and Pam? We just found out Jim liked him, and now some grilled foot. Like, what is this bull? I want to see them have sex, or at least the reverberations." And I remember being like, no. Yeah. And I remember thinking like, oh man, because that's a big Michael Dwight story, and it's a broad comedy story. And later went down in history as one of the great episodes, but at the time, I remember thinking like, oh, there's the Jim and Pam love is a huge thing with fans. Like everyone cares about it so much because obviously the actors are so winning and the story is very interesting. But at its heart, like I think we think of the show as a Steve Carell comedy show that Rainn Wilson and him are like, you know what I mean? Like that's how at least I think of it. So I always get disappointed when people don't look at that stuff. For instance, in the premiere, so much comedy and weight loss. Probably what people remember most is the proposal, which is like cool, and we expect it now, but it's disappointing sometimes.
Do you think The Office would have been a huge hit 10 years ago? Without fan sites, downloads from iTunes, and other technology, maybe a cult show like The Office wouldn't have made it past a first season. What do you think? How much has technology helped the success
That's
of the
quite
show?
possible, I would say. I mean, we definitely got a lot of help from the iTunes. No one will ever believe us, but this is absolutely true, is we wrote that Christmas episode where Michael gets Ryan a video iPod, and the day after it aired, they announced that NBC shows could now be downloaded on iTunes, and it made it seem like we had perfectly orchestrated this thing. We totally didn't. We shot that episode in October. No one had any idea that TV shows were going to be on iTunes. But that happened right before Christmas that year, and all of the episodes from that season went up, and that was like the only comedy show I think you could download, and everyone who got a video iPod, I think for Christmas that year, like downloaded the shows because it was like the only you could watch that or like weird like German cartoons, and then I think that really helped us. I would say.
Well, it did, but there were choices there. People did have there were a handful of things to download, and our ratings weren't great. And all of a sudden, when we were being picked up like 6 episodes at a time, or then 3 episodes, and then all of a sudden we were the #1 download on iTunes.
Yeah.
And I think NBC
It's
was
great
like,
that you guys
wait,
are back on
something else is
iTunes
going
now,
on
too.
here.
Yes, that's very good.
We are. Okay, if you guys have questions, raise your hand, and there are ushers with mics. This young lady here.
This is kind of a specific question. It's about Dunder Mifflin Infinity, the episode. I know Mike wrote it, but there's a line that Kelly says when Ryan comes back. She says, "Ooh, big, strong man, fancy new whatever." And I was wondering who wrote that line, because I know everyone contributes to the episodes. And that's like one of my favorite lines. And we started an office website, fancynewwhatever.com, based on that line.
Go to it. That's 100% you. You get the Kelly voice, I think, better than almost any writer.
Mike writes most of the Kelly lines?
Well,
No.
But I think he wrote Jennifer Hudson, Usher Kapoor, which is one of the great manglings.
Wow.
Kelly. Yeah, that's Mike Sure.
I think I can claim
We're
credit
totally
for
going
that.
to do like a writer dedication page.
Thank you.
When you're planning episodes, how much of a consideration would the documentary crew be there?
That's a good question, and it comes up a lot, I think, when a scene doesn't work, and we're sitting there puzzling why the scene doesn't work, and then we'll go, oh, because they're not camera aware, and it's such a weird personal moment, and we're shooting it from 5 feet away from them, why wouldn't they be camera aware? So, yeah, it comes up a lot. And the weirdest part of it, I think, is when they go out of the office and they go into a new environment, and then what we try to do is tell the other actors to react as if people came in and they're being tailed by a reality camera crew, and that generally boils down to people giving weird looks to the cameramen as they interact with our people, but it's a little hinky, so good catch.
I really love the episode when Pam's trying to figure out if Dwight and Angela are together, and they've got the camera comes running up to her with the, and looks at the candy bar, and then this episode recently when they shut the door and the camera guy sighs. How much do you consider the crew as characters? Do you know about them, or are they just kind of spur of the moment, well, let's add something with the camera guy?
Well, Jen wrote the episode in question, the first one.
Yeah, we consider it. I mean, I think I remember, Greg, you talking about how you give them directions, just like an actor in the scene. You know, this is kind of what your take is. This is what you're looking for. This is what's, you know, interesting. I mean, we try not to overdo it in terms of having the cameramen get involved, because I think sometimes it breaks from the reality of what you're watching, or the drama of what you're watching. If there's another, sometimes you want to kind of forget and just kind of spy on people, and sometimes it's cool to have that energy. But we try not to do that too much, but we pick our moments. And
Yeah, and the cameramen are both, they're really smart about the way that they use their cameras, and they act like they're real. They don't ever like anticipate anything. You know, that's one of the big rules. And like if someone's coming in the door, the front door, they'll always start shooting as if they're shooting Kevin going through a file. Then you hear the door and they whip over and catch it. And that, I think, makes them seem like they're real people. It's like they're just in there kind of like, what's going to happen now? And
Our cameramen were both on Survivor for a long time.
yeah.
Seriously,
that's
they
actually
shot
true, yeah.
Survivor, so for years, so they know what it's like to, you know, capture
I
conversation.
remember one time, I think it was in the Client episode, where Jan came driving to the parking lot, and the camera was supposed to find her, like know that it was really important to find her, because she had, you know, spent the night with Michael or something like that.
Right.
And every time it did it, it looked like he found her too well. So I took Randall, who's the main A camera operator and the DP and a great director also, but I took him and I said, all right, close your eyes. I'm going to spin you around so you don't have any idea where you are. And then when I yell action, now try and find her. And you know, he was like, ah, and he found her.
You broke a $120,000 camera.
My question goes for, did you guys put a lot of thought into how believable it would be for Dunder Mifflin to rehire someone who defrauded them with Ryan?
Yeah, we
We talked about it quite a bit.
Does corporate
There's an
know?
explanation of that. Is that he was hired as a temp, and Michael broke the rules by hiring him because he is living in his parents' house, and Michael loves Ryan, and so he brought him in as a temp, kind of secretly. And there was a whole bit in the episode where David Wallace calls in for the first time, and Ryan answers the phone, and he recognizes his voice, and he chews him out, and Ryan cries. And
Is that a deleted scene, or is that?
I don't know if that ever got aired as a
Ryan
deleted scene.
falls and then just, you know, says through the tears, "He just made the list."
One of the things I wonder is, you're all fantastic writers, but is there any room for improv with the actors that gets caught on tape, that's a magic thing and you keep it? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, they're always.
Two of the biggest moments in my scripts, which is sort of embarrassing for me, were actor improvs. Steve kissing Oscar on the lips in Gay Witch Hunt was something that he did on his own. And then in the Halloween episode, when he's got the second head and Dwight is in the Sith Lord or that outfit, there was a whole scene that went before that, and then they started to ad lib. And then I cut the scene that went before it because it wasn't as good as their ad lib. And so that entire scene is an ad lib from them.
We always try to just shoot the script as it exists, and then we usually have some time and then let the actors kind of goof around. And it is very frequent that they will beat what we've written, I would say.
It's frustrating because 10 of us can sit around for half an hour on a line.
Yeah.
And then just, you know, Steve decide to change it, and it's so much funnier.
The original,
And thank you.
yeah. The line when he found out that Jim and Pam were dating, and he said, "My heart soars with the eagle's nest." I did not write that. Steve Carell wrote that out of his brain spontaneously. There's a lot of things like that.
The best example of improvisation is Greg has played a character who is, this is magnificent. It really makes you think like, wow, being an improviser is a real skill and talent. People go to Chicago, Second City to become really good at it. So Greg, there's some scripted lines about where he's like, you guys are acting weird to, I think, to Rain and to Steve. But
Steve and Rain are trying to just make conversation with him, and he's sort of not interested, and he's being kind of a
Who, me?
pill. Yeah, in the
Oh,
character.
I could talk about this scene. This was my only acting scene on
Yeah.
the show. It was in your episode.
Right.
And they just bought the condo, and Michael and Dwight are asking around to see what the neighborhood's like. And I played the neighbor. And I come out, and they talk to me.
They're sort of like, yeah, what's the vibe around here? Is it super fun? Is it like we party a lot and everything? And his character says like, well, there's an 11 o'clock noise curfew, and it makes Michael kind of like, I want this to be a fun partying neighborhood. So then there was one take where.
I think it was like, so what do you do? What do you do
Well,
for a living?
what happened was they started improvising.
First
And so
unscripted line.
It's Steve Carell and Greg Daniels, and Steve starts improvising, and you can the fear in Greg's eyes is just like radiating out. And also Rain is like lurking over here, and it's just like looks like he's gonna just pounce and
But I
attack
believe
Greg.
it's the first unscripted line. I mean, everything else
Yes.
is scripted.
So
And
the
then-
first thing Steve says is what do you do for a living? And Greg says,
I'm a salesman, because I'm looking at a salesman.
the most uncreative
What do you sell?
thing.
so then he says, what do you sell? And Greg says,
Yarn.
You just can see the sweat.
yarn? He breaks up.
Really, Greg? You're a salesman that sells yarn?
And there was a moment there that life could have been so different for me if I had been good at it.
you had nailed it, yeah.
And I sucked.
I'm a
When you say like one person writes it, do they really write like everything, or do you guys all combine like all of your knowledge together and like write it? But they mostly write it.
Yeah,
Correct.
That's a good
The
question.
second one. The second one. We'll talk about it for a long time together. One person goes off and does a draft, and then we'll rewrite it together. And sometimes the rewriting is very small, and sometimes
You ever like
it's
fight
bigger.
about things like, no, I don't think he would say that, or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, all the time.
It's amazing how defensive you
racial
can get
lines.
when your script's being rewritten, too.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, everybody's felt that, right? It's your script, and then we start to rewrite, and people are like,
And we also do
ready to-
we do a table read, and a lot of things the defensiveness can go away when the line that you were cherished gets no laugh, and you're like, well, maybe there's other things that aren't working. Could be, possibly. There's some room for improvement.
As a writer, there's no worse feeling when you've written a script and you love a scene or a joke, and people are like, well, I think we can beat this, so what else could this line be? And people start pitching or suggesting other things, and you don't think they're as funny, and you're like, oh, I'm sorry, so we're gonna replace my line with this line that Paul came up with, which isn't funny. No, I just want to be clear what's going on, like just so I know what's happening, and you have to suppress that. I mean, I try to suppress it.
You don't suppress it at all.
I don't suppress
One has to suppress that.
it. One has to
One
suppress it.
should.
Supposed to.
You know what I hate is
In
when
a professional work environment.
There's another version of that I hate, which is when you've written a joke that you think is really great, and then people are like, all right, let's try to beat it. And in your head, you're like, yeah, just try to beat it, suckers. And then in like 30 seconds, there's like 7 way better jokes. You're like, oh, God.
Mike used to do this thing second season, which Greg noticed, which is like a script will go out. Your script, you turn in a script, and then the writer's assistants will format it, and then it goes out. And there's like one day when everyone's sitting in their offices reading it, and you're like, oh my God. And you'll hear Mike laugh, and you're like, what did you laugh at? And he's like, there is a typo. I mean, this is a funny typo. I couldn't believe that someone could make a typo like
I
that.
find bad punctuation very Sue me.
So, who came up with That's What She Said? And how do you guys write that every week, or do you guys plan it out?
That was first BJ, right?
BJ,
That was
right?
the BJ.
BJ, yeah.
And Jen is probably the best at it. For some reason, Jen's head is constantly, she's able to concentrate on her job and
It's constantly
looking
scanning.
nice and stuff like that, and yet constantly scanning every line for That's What She Said.
Sometimes Jen will
potential.
like be on the phone in the writer's room with something. She'll be like, no, we need to get a different location for that, and this conversation will be happening over here. And she'll be like, yeah, okay, give me Cohen. That's what she said. Give me Cohen. It's incredible.
And it's joyless.
Yeah, it's
She
not.
doesn't
It's not.
savor it.
She doesn't laugh. She
No.
doesn't even enjoy it.
It's like
she
an
just
affliction.
Yeah, it is.
There's a really funny. I don't know if you saw. Oh, it was on your website too, I believe, right? The
kid?
kid that got detention. Did you guys hear about?
Oh,
this?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for those of you who haven't heard this, it was this kid got detention in 11th grade, and the actual detention slip is posted online, and it's by the teacher, and just it's a detention for like disruptive behavior, and it says after asking the question, how big can it get? He responded, that's what she said. But then in the bottom, she scribbled, these inappropriate comments are happening way too often. So I feel like we want to get that kid on the show, or like frame it as a background prop with the certificates, like Michael's watch certificates. Just put the detention slip back there or something.
I'll try to find them. I'll get on that.
Proud of that kid.
I love Holly. Can you talk about when you thought of her or conceived of her as a love interest for Michael, and was that easy, or did it all fall together in one piece, or it took a while to work out?
Well, the casting was Ryan, right? But what was the character? Was that? I always
We had
thought
kind
you
of
did,
talked
Ken.
about it. It was a very interesting casting thing because
We love The Wire.
We'd loved The Wire, and we've been talking about casting her. And the name was going around, and Jen and I kind of thought of her while we were writing Goodbye Toby episode. And then, so I was in the hallway, and we had just been wondering if we could get her, and I overheard Mary saying it's Amy Ryan's manager for Greg. She had called. The same time we were talking about her, she was talking about trying to get a job on The Office because she liked the show. Happened really like within a minute.
I think a lot of her character came out of that chair scene, which I think Mindy, you sent out, we didn't really know who it was.
Yeah.
And you said, all right, go to your offices and write this Holly character. I think Michael likes her or something, I don't know. And then there was a scene where they're building that chair, and I think that was pretty much, largely what was in the episode, or that idea of them having this connection. And it's, maybe that's, at least that was, it felt like a seed of what she became.
Her Yoda kind of sealed the deal for her a little bit. I think just as okay, here's a beautiful actress who's a dork, and so good at doing it. She's so.
Third F-bomb, F-bomb to the overhead.
I'm rock and roll, man, guys. I can't, I broke 5 wine bottles in the green room. If whoever here wants to come with me to.
You trashed the green room of the Paley Festival.
And that was it. We talked about Michael kind of trying to protect himself with a girl he liked, and then slowly revealing himself. And then it's fine because she's actually
kind of a dork,
just like him, and accepts him for him.
Do you guys ever fear you're going to run out of office scenarios you can play out?
No, we ran out 2 months ago.
Yeah. I don't know what to do about it.
Any suggestions?
Can you guys say anything more about what's coming up for this season? I know when we talked at Comic-Con, we talked about finally a Christmas episode.
Yep, we did just finish shooting that, right?
Yeah.
Last week. Justin wrote it, which is a very satisfying thing since he had written the Christmas episode last year and we threw it in the trash.
Wait, can we say we went on strike, so we threw it on the trash, and I don't think reflected on the quality of the writing.
I'm not going to say exactly
So
that
no-
was the cause of the strike.
What you're alleging is the strike happened because of the poor quality of Justin Spitzer's
It wasn't even
Christmas script.
rewritable.
I'm not saying that exactly.
Greg read the script and made some very high-level phone calls to Les Moonves and Jeff Zucker and was like, listen, you got to shut this whole town down. Because if we have to shoot this thing, we are
I couldn't think of any other way to get out of it
Yeah.
without hurting his feelings.
Well, you had
wanted to
poured
be friends
gasoline
with
all
him.
over the studio, and you were holding a lighter, and then the strike idea occurred to you.
I wanted to not do the show and still be friends with him.
Anything else coming up besides the Christmas episode that you can talk about?
I don't really remember all the shows. Well, there's a crime that happens. The office is robbed. There's a baby shower coming up this next week.
Mm-hmm.
There's some corporate espionage that is going to happen later in the year.
Corporate espionage.
Yes. Intriguing.
Yes, it is.
What else happens?
Someone who maybe you thought was gone from The Office might rear his ugly head again.
Is Mose returning at some point?
No, Mose is dead.
never left.
Sadly, Mose is dead.
You can find Mose in any frame if you search hard enough.
It's like Nina in the Al
Yeah.
Hirschfield drawings. Mose is somewhere in every frame of their design.
Mose will definitely be back.
I can't wait till he's working on the pilot in a very important scene, and we call him to put his Amish neckbeard on and come run in a field.
When I was shooting Money, which had a wonderful Mose part, Randall, the DP, I was like, you got to get a single of Mose. And he's like, no. I said, oh, come on. He's going, it's too fake. No one will buy it. he wouldn't go tight on your face.
Because of my terrible beard.
Yeah.
There was an idea floating around on the periphery a while ago that was that Mose would you would just find out or something that Mose had left and gone to college. And, at age like 29 or whatever he is, and then that was leading us to have this funny conversation about like Mose coming back in disappearing and coming back in 4 or 5 years whenever the show ends, and being just like me, just totally socialized and normal with a normal.
Normal?
Normal.
The great thing about the Mose character was after about the second season, Mike transitioned from writer like us to somewhat of a leader figure, which of course inspired tons of resentment and jealousies. But I will say the wonderful thing is that to have Mike being very erudite, throwing Al Hirschfield references at the panel and things like that, and then to have him sometimes be like, oh, put on these overalls and go sit in that outhouse, Mr. Fancy Harvard dude.
That's
wonderful.
That's the thing with Mose, is that Mike has this vision that he's going to go to college and come back and be more like him. And the only Mose ideas anyone pitches now involve nudity and
Humiliation.
Humiliation.
By the way, the college thing wasn't my idea. It came from someone over here. I certainly supported it. And I think he should go to Yale.
There's also the pitch for the finale that Mose wakes up. There's all sort of
The whole show.
Oh man, you spoiled it.
Mose wakes up in a bed with Suzanne Plachette. That's the whole.
It's great because it's unoriginal and not that funny. So
that's why it's great.
It's a great finale for us.
Very satisfying.
Yeah.
I think it's what
Leave 'em
people
at a
want.
low point.
I think people are going to be expecting that. It's like the proposal, Give the people what they want. Mose and Suzanne Plachette.
Good night, everyone.
And on that note, I want to say thank you very much to the office writing team for spending time with us. Thank you so much.
Good job, Jenny, Tim.